Hello, this is Tony Hiller from RealClimateScience.com. The mainstream media is running so many different scams it would be difficult to say which one was the biggest. But one of the easiest scams to characterize is the Arctic melting scam. Last week, the always reliable fraudsters at National Public Radio said, "Ice in the Arctic is melting even faster than scientists expected." 2 weeks ago, Science Daily said, "Melting Arctic ice could transform international shipping routes." The Russians fell for that scam last year and got dozens of ships trapped in the ice. They sent the world's most powerful icebreaker to free the ships, but none of the vessels had broken out of the ice several weeks later. This particular scam's been going on since at least 1958, when the New York Times predicted an ice-free Arctic within the lifetime of their children. October 19, 1958, some scientists estimate that the polar ice pack is 40% thinner and 12% less in area than it was a half century ago, and that even within the lifetime of our children, the Arctic Ocean may open, enabling ships to sail over the North Pole. That was 1958, and ever since then, Norway has been keeping temperature records for the North Pole. This summer is shaping up to be the coldest on record. For the past 2 months, temperatures have been below the 1958 to 2002 mean every single day. In 2007, they gave this leading scientist, Al Gore, the Nobel Prize. At the Nobel Prize awards ceremony, he very solemnly predicted an ice-free Arctic by the year 2014.
Another new study to be presented by U.S. Navy researchers later this week warns it could happen in as little as 7 years. 7 years from now. In the last few months, it has been harder and harder to misinterpret the signs that our world is spinning out of kilter.
That was very dramatic and somber, but there's more ice in the Arctic now than there was when he made that forecast 15 years ago. Arctic alarmists are facing a big problem this summer with the ice edge all the way up to the coast of Alaska. The forecast for the next 20 days in the Beaufort Sea off the coast of Alaska shows cold, cloudy conditions. It's very unlikely that they're going to get a big melt in the Arctic this summer. Conditions would have to change dramatically during August. Temperatures are also well below freezing across almost the entire Greenland ice sheet. The center of the Greenland ice sheet is buried in fresh snow, and temperatures there have been hanging at around -18°C or 0 degrees Fahrenheit. There's been almost no melt going on the Greenland ice sheet so far this summer, and for the 4th year out of the last 6, the surface mass balance of Greenland is looking to be well above average. The surface of the Greenland ice sheet has gained about 600 billion tons of ice since the beginning of September last year. But 1 week ago, NPR said, "Ice in the Arctic is melting even faster than scientists expected." Climate fraud is one of National Public Radio's specializations. NPR is supposed to be National Public Radio, but they're actually funded largely by Bill Gates. He's not paying them to correctly inform the public, rather he's paying them to push his agenda. While the rest of the world was getting impoverished during the lockdowns of 2020, Bill Gates increased his wealth by more than 1/3. Climate journalists like to write from the comfort of their fossil-fueled powered offices. Fossil fuels keep their offices at a nice comfortable temperature during both the winter and the summer. If they spent a few weeks in -30-degree temperatures frozen in the ice, they might have a different opinion. Or perhaps they could go to Antarctica, where last winter was the coldest on record. To be fair, though, an ice-free Arctic is possible. It's very likely that around the time Stonehenge was built, the Arctic actually was ice-free. Trees grew all the way to the edge of the Arctic Ocean in Canada. The current tree line is 100 kilometers further south. And July temperatures along the northern coastline of Russia may have been 2.5 to 7 degrees Celsius warmer than they are now. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere were very low at that time. NPR and the rest of the press want people to believe that Arctic temperatures are controlled by the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but history shows us that that simply is not true. The Arctic had very little or no ice during the summer for at least 1,000 years, Yet the polar bears survived. The press wants people to believe that if there was no ice in the Arctic for a few weeks during the summer, the polar bears would go extinct. But once again, that claim has no support in the historical record. One thing for sure, climate scamsters in the press and government are getting bolder and bolder with their nonsense. The press censors any dissent from the agenda they're being paid to push. Toto has been calling out these scamsters for the past 14 years. You can visit him, Kyrie Caesar, Toki, and Upala on the web at realclimatescience.com.